We close, we close, we close it in. We close it in. We close it in. I say once again, I'm yelling, repent to the masses. Spirit war, let's begin. If it's beef, I'ma spin. I'm really feeling like Mike Jackson. Fake friends gon' pretend, but I'm yelling out cut, cause they really ain't about that action. Most High told me I'm the captain, so I make waves like I brought my stuff in. I'm reading
The chief beneficiaries are at the upper end of the income spectrum. People earning $4 million or more, the 0.1%, will realize $389,000 gains in their after-tax income, whereas the lowest quintile of earners, who make $17,000 or less, will be on the hook for $1,000 and some change in their after-tax income, and that number will rise over the 10-year course of this package. And the GOP has dishonestly peddled it as a necessary, the cuts in the legislation as necessary fiscal discipline. In point of fact, this package will increase the federal deficit by $3 trillion. And you saw instantly the bond markets swooned on the news that this legislation has passed. The futures markets today are sort of in free fall. So it is just an outlandish piece of legislation, based on basic economic principles, and it is a massive giveaway to the wealthy. You mentioned, the historic cuts to Medicaid, to SNAP, to food assistance. There's also just, crass and corrupt lobbying giveaways. There's a provision in it that prohibits all states from regulating artificial intelligence. It's a staggering work of theft from on high.
And explain the on high. Explain what the billionaires get in exchange for cutting Medicaid, triggering the Medicare cuts, cutting clean energy, cutting food assistance.
They get $2.5 trillion in tax cuts. And that's been the social contract, behind the MAGA takeover of the GOP all this time. The billionaires are more than happy to have Trump foment, racial hatreds, panic about the border, about DEI, what have you, go after universities, as we're now seeing, all in exchange for this, for yet more obscene wealth that, as is crafted in this bill, is directly taking, critically needed support and, assistance from the middle class and the working class.
I want to ask you about the position of the Democratic Party in this. The parties face widespread criticism, accused of failing to properly challenge Trump's agenda. There's a new piece by the New Republic that says, quote, House Republicans managed to pass their draconian budget bill, which promises to make massive cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, food assistance early Thursday morning by a narrow one-vote margin that was only possible due to the deaths of 3 Democrats in this current Congress. It goes on to talk about on Wednesday, Representative Jerry Connolly of Massachusetts passed away after battling esophageal cancer. He's the 3rd Democrat to die in office this year and the 6th in just over a year. In March, longtime Arizona Congressmember Raul Grijalva passed away also after battling cancer, and Congressmember Sylvester Turner of Houston, Texas, died 6 days earlier. Can you talk about all of this?
Yes, this is, an ongoing problem. And obviously, this is all in the shadow of new revelations about how, the Biden White House basically concealed the actual cognitive decline of the president. There is a huge gerontocracy problem in the Democratic Party. And it is not an exaggeration, as the piece you quoted says, that if we did not lose these 3 House members, this disastrous bill might have been stopped. And it's also, beyond the demographics, there's also just a basic, failure of standing up for principle. There was a earlier budget showdown that could have produced a government shutdown, and Democrats had leverage at that point to get concessions from Republicans in exchange for letting the budget go forward. And Chuck Schumer just folded like a cheap suit in the Senate and gave the Republicans everything they demanded. That's the sort of longer-term background to this disastrous bill that passed yesterday. The Republicans know they can count on Democrats either to put things bluntly, to die or to fold. And
we are a loving people, a blessed people, a strong, hard-working people, a praying people, a people of faith, and we've got a story to tell.
Glory to the King. Glory to the King. Glory to the King. Glory to the King.
We were a people stripped of our African identity and our humanity, but in the midst of brutal oppression, we never lost our connection with God.
Father Yahuwah, I acknowledge your majesty and give you glory. I thank you for sending your kinsman redeemer, Yahushua HaMashiach, to retrieve your lost sheep, once scattered and blinded for our disobedience.
All right. Well, with that being said, brothers and sisters, I just want to say happy Friday, or like back in the day in the 90s when I was growing up here in DC on 93.9 Kiss FM, they'd tell you happy Friday. And welcome to another episode of Spirit Talk News, brothers and sisters. This is where we bring the truth behind the news according to the Spirit of the Most High God of Israel. And what we're going to do is give you a warm Spirit Talk welcome. And so we got to play a little something for your ears real quick, get you in the wake up mode. You know what I'm saying? Hey. It's Friday, baby. I know you got to feel good, right? So, hey. I gotta tell you one more time.
Good morning.
Hey. And this is Spirit Talk News.
Good morning.
Hey. Happy 6th day.
Good morning.
Hey. Good morning, brothers and sisters. And again, welcome to another segment of that Spirit Talk News. You already know. So, brothers and sisters, I'm not gonna keep you long. As we know, or as we were just listening to, if you were listening and paying attention, it was a House Republican tax bill which favors the rich that was passed yesterday, which funnels a whole bunch of financial benefits to the wealthy, right? According to the economists and the tax experts and things like that. And the lower income earners would be worse off, apparently, on average, due to cuts to programs like Medicaid and SNAP, which was food stamps, etc. Right? So it's called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. That's crazy, right? That's what it's really called. And according to what is understood, financial benefits would really just flow to the wealthiest Americans in this country because of the tax cuts, right? for business owners, investors, homeowners, and things like that. But the thing what I want to touch on is what's really happening, is what you see as a spiral, a downfall in the the structure and the foundation of the country, right? And this is just one of the many signs which you see in what I believe is a possible replication of all great empires that usually fall by imploding from the inside. That means internally there's factors that cause the empire or the kingdom to fall, brothers and sisters. And you saw that in ancient Rome, right? And speaking of ancient Rome, we know that America is just a branch on the tree of Rome, meaning the Roman Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Empire, the Holy Roman Empire is what created America. And really, it seems like it created America to be almost like a counter, or I would say a chess piece, right, in between the fall and the rise of Rome, if that makes sense. We know Rome fell in about 476 AD, right? And it ruled the world for thousands of years. And we know America was only ratified as a country in 1776, right? But when you and it's only been reigning for like 400 so years, right? So I'm gonna tell you exactly how long it's actually been considered a superpower. It's really only been a global superpower since the end of World War II, which is only approximately 80 years. And the country itself, right, has only been an independent country since 1776, right, which makes it 248 years old. But we know that you have to take it back further than that when you look at the slavery going back to the 1600s and the 1500s, which made it what it is. So you can't ignore that aspect, because the slavery is what made this country great, right? The free labor, which is what caused the economy of this country, right, to really be built off capitalism, right? Capitalism and slavery goes hand in hand, right? So what I'm saying is, it's like the Lord had the USA to not be mentioned directly in prophecy, but to be used in accordance to prophecy, because Israel was taken here. This was one of the biggest slave camps in the world. This has been one of the most dominant countries and most significant countries in our recent world history. And it's very clear through the scripture that Israel was taken into Egypt by way of ships, and that you can clearly see that in everything we faced. The curses that played out are clearly spelled out here in America than anywhere else in the world. And not only that, you have the biggest most likely the most biggest and most influential Israelite movement here in the United States of America. So that does mean a lot, even though America isn't mentioned per se in prophecy, right? But that's why I said it's like a chess piece in the middle between the fall and the revival of the Roman Empire, because we know that in correlation with the rise of Israel, you also have the revival and the rise of the Roman beast system, which directly correlates to America falling. The U.S. must fall and Rome must rise, and Israel was sent here in slavery to I guess conclude the fall of our people, but we're also rising. And that's why as we rise, Rome rises, and eventually the rise is going to culminate in a clash at the Great Tribulation. There's going to be war against Israel and Rome, against God's church and Satan's church, brothers and sisters. So you have to understand the things that you see in this country when you talking about whether it's the tax bill, right? It doesn't just end with the tax bill that's devastating, you know, to the country. What's really devastating to the country is the religious and social moral decline, right? You look how poor the country is, you know, spiritually bankrupt, right? Let alone all the trillions in debt that the country has physically. Well, it has more debt spiritually. When you look at the homosexuality, when you look at all the false churches and all the different religions that's freely practiced, when you look at all the Satanism and all the beliefs and the social doctrines and constructs that's anti the principles and the doctrine of the Bible, that is what's causing this country to sink more and more, right? It is really the spiritual aspect. When you see the moral and social decline of family, of marriage, the institution of, you know, the family nucleus, how that's been destroyed, how the state controls, you know, has programmed the minds of children, and there's this divide, this rift, this do as thou wilt mentality, you know, this anti-God mentality, and people glorifying it. All of this pride of Sodom and Gomorrah, gay pride, trans pride, racist pride, gender pride, feminism pride, right? Pro-white pride, pro-black pride, pro-gay pride, right? Pro-redistribution of money pride, right? And no matter how you cut it, no matter how you slice it, brothers and sisters, there is a total annihilation of truth and the word of God. And you have to understand this is taking place in this country, and it must take place in this country in order for Rome to rise. You must understand that, because this world is going to end in war, and America is not Babylon. Rome is Babylon. Rome is rising. Rome is going to be the one that goes to war with the saints and go to war with God's people, brothers and sisters. So let's read it, and we're going to close out with that, right? Because I want to keep these, you know, all these different various programs. I want to keep them you know, all under an hour, right? I want to keep these programs in a nice amount of time. Spirit Talk Mini, we're keeping Spirit Talk Mini under 10 minutes, so that's like 5 to 7 minutes. And then we're doing Psalm and Songs, we're keeping that under 15 minutes. And even when we do Spirit Talk News, we're going to keep that under 30 minutes, brothers and sisters. So that's going to be the way that it's going to roll and the way that it's going to swing. All right. So we just want you to understand what time we on, and we want to give you enough from both the news and the scripture to shape and increase your understanding. All right. So in order to talk about this topic, I want us to go to Revelation 17. Revelation 17. And you know what? Let's actually start at Revelation 13. It says, and I stood, this is verse 1, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Understand what we're reading. This is the culmination of the entire Gentile dynasty from Daniel 7. All of the beasts that represented the European dynasties, starting from Babylon to Medo-Persia to Greek and Rome, this is a composite of it all together, brothers and sisters, right? And in the last days, this is showing you what the great kingdom and dynasty that started with King Nebuchadnezzar, which ruled over Babylon, it's ending with the Pope and Rome as the head of modern day Babylon, because it's the beginning and the end of the Gentile dynasty. The Gentile dynasty started in Babylon, and it's ending in with spiritual Babylon back at the head, but the headquarters has relocated to Rome, which is the last kingdom to rule the whole world, which is a continuation from Babylon to Medo-Persia to Greece and to Rome. Okay, so understand, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the revival of the Roman Empire, which is Babylon, brothers and sisters, and America has no place in that. America has only been a sideshow in the meantime, in between time, as the greatest slave camp, or one of the greatest slave camps for Israel, for the world to see who Israel is, right? And in verse 3 it says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. That's why I said America has just been like a chess piece in the middle of the rise and or the fall and the rise of Rome, because the beast was wounded. That talks about Rome, how it fell as a world military power in 476 AD, brothers and sisters, but it's going to rise. And in order for it to rise, America has to take the back seat as the global power, as we've seen that it has been since for 80 years, since the end of World War II. Now everything's declining, right? It's not just the the financial, economic aspect and the moral aspect. You look at every aspect. You look at education in this country. You look at the food system in this country. You look at the popular culture and the music, etc. in this country. Everything is out of whack. Everything is decaying. It's corrupt. It's poisonous, brothers and sisters. It is like a cancer, a sickness, and it has to fall because the remedy, which is the word of God, is not being applied. And for it, as it falls, Rome is concurrently rising at the same time. This is why we know that we are not at the end, and most likely this is not the last pope, because more things need to take place, right? Western Europe is going to be the armies of Rome, just like Western Europe was the central played a central part in the old ancient Roman Empire. Brothers and sisters, nothing's changed. It's just gonna all be revived, brothers and sisters. And when those 10 United States of Europe, countries of Western Europe come together, they're going to be the army behind the Roman Empire, because the Vatican, which runs the Holy Roman Empire, does not have its own army. See, remember, it fell as a military power in 476. So in order for it to regain its power and its power axis, right, it has to have a military. And where's the military going to come from? It's going to come from the Western Europe players who make up the Treaty of Rome, which make up the European Union. It's coming out of the European Union, brothers and sisters. That is a code word, or another way to say the revived Roman Empire. All you got to do is look up the European Union and the Treaty of Rome. And so now in Revelation 17, you see it all come together. We're in verse 5, it says, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, the abominations of the earth. And verse 9 tells you that this new age Babylon, right? Even Bob Marley used to always talk about Babylon and Zion. Well, when we talk about Babylon, we're talking about the evil structures of the world powers that be. And understand, the world powers are all, the Western world powers are all subject to the Roman Catholic Church. That is the most powerful organization in the world. That is what's controlling everything through secret societies behind the scenes, from your Freemasons all the way down, brothers and sisters, which goes back to your Jesuits, and your Jesuits go back to the Catholic Church, which go back to Rome. So they're controlling society behind the scenes, right? That's the secret behind secret societies. Okay, but it tells you where this Babylon system is located, because we just read verse 5, and verse 9 tells you, and here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. What are these 7 mountains which the woman, or the Catholic Church, sits, which is the power of Babylon, the head of Babylon? The 7 hills, or the 7 mountains, are the 7 hills of Rome. Brothers and sisters, all you got to look up is the 7 hills or 7 mountains of Rome. The 7 hills of Rome, brothers and sisters. So what's going to eventually happen, right? You're going to have these 10 powers that I told you about in verse 12. It tells you about them. It says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, because they're sovereign, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. This is the closest thing you're going to get to a new world order, when the European Union comes together and gives their power to Rome. And what are they going to have in verse 13? These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. This is going to be the revival of the Roman Empire through their military, through the European Union, which is Western Europe, brothers and sisters. They're going to have one mind. See, a new world order is a one world religion, a one world government, a one world economy. They want all of that through the revival of the Roman Empire, and the head of it is the Pope. So America, what you see in America has to happen for this to happen, right? Because how can they enforce the mark of the beast if they don't control the whole economy of pretty much the fourth of the world? But they're trying to get the whole world to bow down. That's what the Pope wants, because that's what Satan wants, brothers and sisters. So America cannot be the head honcho that's running things. The dollar cannot run things forever. This place has to crumble, right, in order for this beast to rise. But we know how it's all going to end, because it says these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. But what's going to happen? Verse 14, these shall make war with the Lamb, that's Jesus, and the Lamb shall overcome them, him and his saints, brothers and sisters, because he's coming back as the Lion of the tribe of Judah, and he's going to fight. He's going to make war, right? He told that to Pilate. If it was time for my kingdom, then my servants will fight. So they're going to make war with the Lamb, but the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him, that's going to be us, Lord willing, are called and chosen and faithful. So that's how this thing ends. And that has been another program, another episode of Spirit Talk News. I told you we 30 minutes or less, and we're going to send you home with a track. I just got to see which one it's going to be. We're going to send you home with a track. I just need to figure out which track that's going to be. And why don't we end it off with something from my brother Anaviel. And this track is called Den of Thieves. I think that's probably fitting for what's going on in this country, and for who Rome is at the end of the day. Den of Thieves. Let's listen to it, because you got to beware of false prophets, and that's why we coming to tell you the truth behind the news and everything else, right? We're trying to lead you to salvation. So you got to be mindful of thieves, of people that's coming to steal your salvation and lie to you and deceive you. That's what the leaders of this country is doing. That's what the leaders of Rome is doing. And they all going to fall when the Lord comes back. So let's get it. All right. Den of Thieves, Anaviel. Let's go.
Justified imagery of blood on the streets. Only truth heals. I spill love on these beats. I'm balanced. I could probably run on the beach. That's talent. Back to the educated topic. Tell me how religious doctrine ever made a profit. Souls of the innocent creation get adopted. Slit the throats of the lamb. See, the nations gotta stop it. Pharisees renting out the temple. Slaughtering sheep while making it eventful. Flip the tables. No intentions of being gentle. That's crazy. I'm getting mental on instrumental. Just maybe. Y'all don't know what y'all be getting into. Sorta like when Esau sold his birthright for lentil. Unalive what? For the cause to make credentials? Thou shalt not kill is the law. Let's make it simple. They're the thieves. What's the right way to kill a beast? Sharing bloodshed just to eat. The truth you believe ain't complete. They're the thieves. Why you got a knife? What's the issue? How you take a life with the life that's within you? Then you claim you right and got Christ deep within you. What's the cost of a soul? Check the price that's within you. Whose side is true knowledge? Who you follow? When new doctrine is two options, what you follow? Who's imposter? Who's guiding the truth? I know. Which gospel is there nonsense? Do you follow? We representing the largest. We have to carry our crosses. It's getting deep like massages. They try to trick us regardless. Don't underestimate artists. Poetically, this is arson. Controversy, I spark it. This conversation is awkward. Calculated and cautious. We bring it right to the wrongness. Bringing light to the darkness. We neutralizing the targets. Who killing hearts of the martyrs? Who killing truth for the falsers? Who killing prophets with prophets? Who killing animals often? Then the thieves, right? You know what I really mean, right? They act like
Let's go. And that's been another episode of Spirit Talk News. Holla at your boy. Peace.
Cause everything's everything when you seek what's heavenly. Wait in the water, wait. Cause everything's everything when you seek what's heavenly. Wait in the water, riding the wave. In the water, realizing the babies, sheep to the slaughter, slaughter. Whoa, whoa, wait.